property at Lang and North Line.
This is the second time we're.
Yeah, this is the second reading.
Okay.
So, I don't think we should have any questions on that. 7 is an emergency repair of the fire engine for $5,900, not to exceed. Did you have any questions for the chief on that? Charlie, Tim?
No, it's an emergency repair, it's gotta be done, it's gotta be done.
No.
Was it already done, chief, or?
It's in the process right now.
Okay.
And I have the engine.
8, this is for IT, yeah, for water and sewer equipment, or for ERSI. What exactly is that, Dave?
Well, this is to maintain the GIS system the city uses. What ERSI stands for, that would be the vendor. But the water and sewer system is for the maintenance of GIS system.
And, Tim? Next is a motion to approve the new purchasing policies.
Question, we have to do this, it's mandated, correct?
Yes, just a slight overview of this, purchasing policy. The city already has a centralized purchasing policy in place, but this is a revision. And the reason we have to do this, and the reason that the council has to approve it, is because of the new federal standards. It's a OMB, super circulars as they call it, which it mandates a lot of things for money spent with federal boards. So we have all, like, the changes in these policies reflect the changes that we have to have in accordance with those federal policies. And it also cleans up a little bit of the areas that because we talked with department heads, and if we were gonna do this, we wanted to clean up a lot of the gray areas that's in our current policy, and we feel that, as I said, it took a period of time to get all this together, but we feel like this is a good policy that everybody can live with, and it follows the charter, it follows the federal guidelines, and it makes everything more efficient.
Besides the federal guidelines, can you pinpoint anything that has changed?
Yes. So basically, the biggest change, because right now what we have is our current policy talks about the purchases below $2,000 and purchases over $2,000. All it states is that anything under $2,000 does not, you have to get quotes, but it doesn't have to go to council for approval. Anything over $2,000 has to be a sealed bid and has to go through the sealed bid process. Well, obviously, if you guys look at the approvals that have been going on, it's really like most of them have been sealed bids, but not all of them have been sealed bids. So what we're trying to do is using the federal guidance, we were trying to come up with a better clarification of those items. Obviously, we have to live by the charter, and the council has to approve anything over $2,000. But what we did, and this is also a federal, it's federal terminology as well too, is we came up with the kind of like the 3 processes. What they call and we call micro purchases is for anything under $2,000. This is on page 18, a kind of summary of everything on page 18 of the policy. But a micro purchase is something that's considered under $2,000, and these are things that do not have to receive quotes or any kind of competitive process. If you read further, it does state that if the department has a bunch of these purchases under $2,000, that they have to equitably share among vendors. You can't just use one vendor. The federal guidance says they suggest that you try to share them with all the other vendors out there that can offer the same product or good. A small purchase, and just for the federal government, they say everything under $3,000 is considered a micro purchase too, but we got the charter, so we have to use $2,000. Now, for small purchases, what we consider everything from $2,000 to $100,000 or $99,999. And what that is that obviously it has to be approved by council, but the quotes and the bids can be obtained informally. Now, again, they could do a formal process if they wanted, but it's not a requirement for those type of purchase between those two amounts. The federal guidelines consider small purchases $150,000 between $3,000 and $150,000. So we're keeping it at $100,000 because our charge says that construction contracts of $100,000 or more have to be competitively sealed out and whatnot, because there's bonds involved and all that good stuff. So that's where we go with the method of everything over $100,000 has to be done by a sealed bid process. Again, that's just a very formal process, everything's sealed, opened up by the clerk's office, all those good things. And by doing this, we put like a definitive definition of what, I mean, everything has to go to council over $2,000, but what considers informal quotes and bids and what's considered a formal sealed bid process.
Okay, so basically, the worker will still get 3 quotes.
Like I said, they said the federal guidelines said an adequate number of quotes. We use that as 3.
Okay,
And we say in here, if we can't get 3, because there's sometimes 3 people will bid
Yeah, I
on it, we
understand.
will give justification for that. So,
okay, thank you.
You think this would have any impact in cases where time is essential?
there's also, yes, there's, in there's an emergency type of situation, and the federal government allows us for that as well too. So, they understand that sometimes emergencies do happen, so.
Isn't that also in the charter that the mayor can approve emergency?
I believe so, I'm not 100% there, but I believe so.
Yeah, number 7 would be one of those determinations. I mean, the truck is already in there being worked on, but the item's coming after the fact. We didn't feel like we could wait a week to get approval because of the
No, I
circumstances.
understand completely. You have to have that.
Rather not do it, but, you know, there are some cases where it
Yeah.
happens.
We'd rather spend the money on a new TV or something.
Okay. Number 10 is a motion to approve the ASTI environmental to conduct a pre-demolition asbestos and hazardous material survey for 13335 Carnegie Road for $6,900.
This is that school, right? The old school or whatever?
Madam Chair, this is the old Fletcher School. It's our plan to bring forward in the course of the next couple of months, a plan to demolish the school that needs to be torn down. This is the first step in doing so. We do have right now I don't know if you call it an offer, but somewhat of an offer on the property for what we paid for it. Although I'm not bringing it forward at this point because it's not, it would just tie it up, that would be it. It's a similar deal where there's a $5,000 deposit, there's 90 days, and then another 90-day extension. I've countered with, if this is a cash sale, I'm okay with the amount of money that they've offered, and I'd bring it forward, and I have not heard back to date. So we're moving forward. It's probably more valuable to us with the school down. From a safety standpoint, it needs to come down.
How many acres is that total?
35, is it, Jerry? 35 or 37?
37 minimum.
I didn't realize it went back that far.
It touches Pardee, Racco, and Superior. It's kind of
Okay,
cut
so
out
it
like
goes
a
all
T.
the way back over to Racco?
Yeah.
Is that where the Trillium Academy used to be?
Yes. So the story is that years ago, we sold it to Masco for $3.5 million, and they were going to, actually, they used that school as an R&D facility. They were going to look at building a campus there of additional R&D facilities or, you know, maybe other things. They came back to us and said they changed their plans, they didn't want it anymore. The city acquired it for $800,000 back from Masco. Jerry did an assessment. I think he had it somewhere between $900,000 and $1 million of potential value in its current state.
Well, I think personally with the way Eureka's blowing up, I think Pardee Road and maybe parts of Telegraph, so I think that's a lucrative piece of property to just give away. So I mean, I would hope that offer would definitely be maybe right at that minimum or at that $1 million mark.
From our standpoint, the property is definitely more valuable with the school off of it. And from
Oh, I
a
agree.
safety and a liability standpoint, it's definitely, something we have to address. We are looking at the rooftop units, the HVAC units, we think can be saved and repurposed possibly at the library. We have had somebody out there looking at it, and they are relatively new, so they do believe that they can be reused. Where, we're not entirely sure yet. But
I thought the ones at the library were relatively new also.
They're problematic. Rito and his team are running over there all the time, putting out fires, no pun intended, but they're problematic. Yeah. But again, some of those details I'm speculating on, but we do believe that there is some value in the rooftop units. The school itself, though, I mean, Jeff can tell you, they had to wear masks just to go inside of it, and it's been completely stripped out of all the valuable products.
Oh, yeah.
The copper's
Oh,
gone.
yeah, that's gone, that's been gone a long time
Do you
ago.
have any idea what it would cost to put in?
Jeff, do you have a high-level number?
We looked at the 3 schools we tore down a few years, probably about 4 years ago, and it's pretty comparable to the old Bartlett Racco School, which cost $215,000. And the reason it's so high is because that school had to be fully abated. So that's why we're doing this test to see where the asbestos is. From there, we can bid out the abatement portion and the demo portion. So we're guessing around $200,000.
And that would also be covered under community block though?
Yes, it's eligible.
And so if we sold it, we would obviously have to take that cost into consideration at that point in time. But it would have to come back into CDBG as
Program income.
program income, sorry.
Only the amount we pay to have it demolished, right?
And probably to test it as well,
Okay, right.
any of the cost related to
But
that.
not the property itself?
Correct.
Okay.